Voices Radio.
Voices Radio. Voices as a radio.
Voices
Voices Radio.
Radio.
Yo, what's happening, boys and girls? Welcome to Breakfast with Sadiq Bello, available on Voices Radio on the first Thursday of every month between 9 and 11 a.m., where I will not only be playing some absolute bangers, no mash, but to wake you up from your morning slumber. But I will also be talking with various guests about how they have decided to spend their time trotting through this ironic journey that we call life. So let me start by introducing myself. Of course, I am the one, the only Sadiq Bello. Well, actually, that's a bit of a lie. If you look back through the history of the African diaspora up until now, I'm sure there has been many Sadiq Bellos before me and probably many to come after me. But I would like to think that none of them quite did it the way that I intend to live it. So, in a nutshell, I am a DJ and music producer, born in Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria, but raised predominantly in West London. Starting out as a house DJ, I later expanded into open format, blending a myriad of genres and learning how to scratch and use effects. This would later help me develop my own style. But for now, as I have said, tune in as I wake you up from your morning slumber and get you out of bed and prepared for another beautiful day ahead. Now, for those of you who are listening or streaming back from Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other medium, then feel free to like, subscribe, and follow me for more info at Sadiq Bello. That's at SADIQB3LLO. The 3 is there just because I wanted to be a bit quirky. Once again, that's SADIQB3LLO. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so hello guys, and welcome to another edition of Everyday People. My name is Sadiq Bello. As you know, the show features once a month on Voices Radio, and I like to interview different guests that I come across in different walks of life. My next guest that I'm going to introduce goes by the name of Stella, and for those of you who don't know, I actually met her at a social function that we were having for Voices Radio, and I enjoyed the conversation we were having, and I asked her to come across my podcast. And so, welcome to Stella. Stella, do you want to say hi to the crowd?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today. I was really looking forward to our chat.
Excellent. It's perfect to meet you. So, the first thing that I want to ask is, like, from my point of view, so I know you as Stella and as an astrologist, but do you want to break that down a little bit more, like into like kind of what it entails, or how?
Sure. Okay, so about the astrology, I can say that my love for astrology, and really, I think all of the occult arts started when I was very young, probably when I was a teenager. I remember when I was younger, I was always curious about my future. My future was, I think still is, the most important thing rather than the present or the past. I'm very future oriented as a person. And I always wanted to know what's next, what's coming up. And basically I started doing tarot cards initially, which, it was good enough in a sense to have some immediate answers about my more recent future, but not something that could be as reliable and accurate as astrology. I tried palmistry as well, but no, it doesn't cut it. It's just like a little bit hit and miss.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the end, I actually settled with astrology. It took me a while to get into it because obviously astrology, compared to the other forecasting arts, if you like, is much more complicated. But at the same time, gives me a great deal of satisfaction because it makes me see people's driving factors, what their motivations are in their life, why people choose to behave a certain way or to react a certain way to certain circumstances that come in their life. And obviously, when I was a teenager, it was mostly in.
Oh, hello. Are you still there? 1 second. Sorry, I think it's cut out the sound. I can hear you.
You,
Hello.
yeah, what's
Hi,
happened?
Stella. Yes. Oh, sorry. I think the sound cut out a little bit, but we're back now. Cool. No worries.
Okay,
I don't know if it
know
was.
where it
No, that's right. It cut out when you were saying that you were in your teenage years. You were kind of you know, looking forward to the future and those kind of things. I got like the first kind of bits of it. And then it went to you were talking about people being anxious about their future.
No, I was the one anxious about my future.
Oh
Okay, so
yeah.
let me. I don't know where we cut off, but probably I better start again, I suppose, just in case. Shall
No
I?
worries. Yeah. Yeah, realistically, what I'll do is like this part I'll edit it out anyway, so it's fine.
Okay.
All in post.
Okay.
But yes, so carry on. So you were saying, so you got into it because you were
I was
thinking
always
about.
eager to know about my future. I've always been future oriented. It was the thing that
Yeah,
most was more interesting to me. Not my present, not my past. The future was everything. And I've tried different occult arts. So when I was a teenager, so I started with like tarot cards, which worked fine. Was giving me more. Answers about the most immediate future, and obviously I was doing it also with my friends. It was like a nice kind of almost like a game, right? And a way of
yeah,
getting answers on I don't know, somebody you fancy or somebody like that. And then
yeah.
I tried palmistry. Palmistry, no, it wasn't. It
It
didn't
wasn't
work
for you.
out very well. I don't find it to be very accurate. And then I moved on to astrology. Astrology, I found to be the most accurate of all. It took me a while to get into because obviously it was. Um, there's a lot of information you need to understand, a lot of information you need to keep into your head. But
Yeah,
what it does, it gives you the information about what are people's motivations, what they are, the way they react to circumstances, how they do it, why they do it.
yeah,
And obviously, when I was younger, it was mostly directed at me because I wanted to understand myself better, right? So
yeah.
I
That's a
initially
good
did
way
it,
to start, I think.
yeah,
Yeah,
as a psychology exercise, if you like,
yeah, of
self-analyzing
course.
myself in a way. And then it expanded with the people around me, and the feedback from my friends has been since the very beginning. Oh wow, you're super accurate. Oh wow, this happened to me. And so um, that motivation as well put me in a place where I said, you know what? No, I actually, this is it. Uh, this makes total sense. Because if you
Yeah,
think about it, people go through cycles. That's what
yeah,
astrology is. It's just pinpointing where up cycle and down cycles are for people. So there are some good times when it's a good moment, I don't know, to look for a job or to ask for a raise, and some other
yeah,
times where People feel more, their attention is more into having a relationship, finding
Yeah.
a good partner. So we all go through those cycles, right? And
Yeah.
I think astrology is very informative in that way, that gives you a bit of a guidance as to when is a good time to take certain actions. And I want to underline this fact about the actions, because most people think when they hear about astrology, about a forecast, they think, oh, this is happening to me. Okay. So, and they're waiting for something to come on their lap. It doesn't work that
Right.
way. I
Okay.
only point about what is a good scenario, a good direction when something is happening, but also, but the person is supposed to take steps in this direction so that the thing that he wants happens, right? So that
Yeah.
is important. Is also about being proactive. When I tell you it's a good time to do something, do so. For example, I have a bit of an anecdote, if
Okay.
I may.
Sure.
This last December, there was an especially good and rare aspect between Saturn and Jupiter. It comes very rarely, so it was a one-off. But what it came out from this aspect, I could see that for most signs, it was going to be a good couple of lucky days.
Right.
And I remember there was this friend of mine, Capricorn. I said to her, look, on these days, buy a scratch card or a lottery ticket, because it's like it's going to be a bit of a payoff because of Jupiter that is involved. Jupiter is the planet of luck. And
Right.
she said, oh, okay, I'm going to put it in my diary. And I said, oh, please do let me know whatever happens, whether you win or not.
Win or not. Yeah.
But she won.
Oh
So
wow.
she bought a scratch card during the days I told her. I mean, it wasn't like a huge win, like she's not a millionaire, but just to
Yeah,
tell
but
you
still.
about, yeah, the up cycles and down cycles. If you
Yeah.
take the step, if you make your action in the time I'm telling you to do,
Yeah.
yeah, you will receive very nice surprise from the universe.
Nice. Okay. So a lot of the things that you've said there do sort of make sense, as in, like, from what I understand, it's not so much so that you're telling people particularly what their future, what the outcome of the future would be, but it's more of just, if a certain planet is in like a certain position, then maybe their luck is higher than it would have been if it wasn't. Is that sort of it? So it's not necessarily
It's not just luck.
yeah,
It's like I'm giving
or like the
people
line. Yeah.
scenarios, because obviously everybody's chart is different. Unless I have a natal chart in front of me, then I can actually pinpoint exactly, okay, this is happening, this is happening.
Yeah.
But even then, there are still a couple of variables where there might be like 2 or 3 scenarios that might play out.
Yeah.
When I gave the horoscope, is I'm giving you the up cycle and down cycle, but
Yeah.
it's not just about the luck. It's about also knowing when is a good time to do something. So it's like kind of putting yourself in sync with the universe, I would say.
I like that. I love that.
Mhm.
That's the best way that I've ever heard anyone explain astrology to me, to say like, you're putting yourself in sync with the universe. Because I think sometimes you get people who may be somewhat cynical, and they're always like, oh, but you know, like, I don't believe in that, I don't think that
Yeah.
these things. And it's because, and do you think that's to do with, like, are they just projecting what they feel about their own life, as opposed to what, like, if someone says, for instance, oh, I don't believe in astrology, do you
Mhm.
do you face a sort of like an understanding of what that person might be? Maybe they just don't believe in the magic of their own lives, or that they have the power to shape their own future if they align with the universe. Like, what's your take on people who say they don't believe it?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I actually love to speak to skeptics
Yeah,
because it's always fun. I know there are I do get a lot of them, and the thing is that what they don't understand is that once I try to explain how things work out, most of them, if not all, once I explain how this is happening because you are this way, or that is the thing that you would normally do. So I explain even like a simple thing like what a sign is like, what the kind of things that they do. In the end, they say, "Oh yeah, actually that tallies." Actually,
yeah, that
I
makes
am
sense.
like that. So I
Okay.
always love to speak to skeptics because I don't think they know enough about astrology, and they still say, "Oh no, no, this cannot be real. This is
Yeah,
all
because they
like
some hocus pocus,
entertainment."
and yeah, like they don't think it's actually like it governs their lives, but it actually really does. Like when I think of astrology, I think of like how, like, even everything that boils down to like the days of the weeks, the night, the time,
The
the
moon, the
breakout,
moon is
the
super
shape.
important.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
we're governed by these rules of like January, February, March, April, May. Like we live our whole lives literally through astrology. And so I feel like it's because most people who are actually cynical against this thing, or the
it's
laws,
because they don't know enough
yeah, it's
about
because
it,
they
I
don't
think.
understand it enough. Yeah, they don't believe it. And it boils down to all sorts of beliefs, I guess, like in terms of a matter of faith. Even when people boil into religion and things like that, it's always a case of like the things
Sure.
that we don't understand, it's very easy to dismiss. So like now if someone said to me, oh, like let's say I said to you, oh, I can bend a piece of metal and take you across to another country. It sounds like magic. People will be like, I don't believe you can do that. And then once you understand physics, then you can do things like build an aeroplane that will actually take you, across across to another country and things like that. So that's very interesting to hear. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a slight break. I'm just going to play some music. And
All
then
right.
so we'll come back. There's also some songs, obviously, that you've given me to play, and so we're going to dive into that a little bit after. But
Okay.
what we'll do is now I'm going to play some songs, and then when we come back, I'm going to do the typical thing, which I'm sure you're very aligned with, that a lot of people ask, is always about themselves. So I would like you to tell me a little bit about me, to give you some insight. I am an Aquarius, so that might, like, I don't know, jiggle your memory a little bit.
Oh, yeah. No worries. I'm
Excellent.
happy to do that.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll be back in a second. I'll play some songs and then we'll get into that.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, so now we are back. For those of you who are just locking in, this is Everyday People with Sadiq Bello. I'm talking to the marvelous Stella, who is telling me about astrology, and we met each other actually, funny enough, at a social on Voices Radio, and I thought it would be very good to have her on a podcast. And so she's here. Stella, do you want to say hi again to those who are just joining in?
Hello.
Okay.
How's everyone?
I hope they're good. What's it called? Also, guys, like, because this obviously streams over not just on Voices, but you can listen to it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and things like that. If you have any more questions or things that you want to ask about astrology, relay that to me and I'll give it to Stella and we can answer that in the future.
I'm
So,
telling you, you're going to receive a lot of questions. Every time I am a guest in
yeah,
other people programs, I mean, astrology is one of those things that sparks so many questions. People become really intrigued. So you're going to receive a lot of them. Be
of course.
ready.
Of course, I can imagine. And the reason why I know that is because even just for me, so there's a lot of things that I want to ask you, and I was really looking forward to this interview, particularly for this
Wonderful.
part. So I would like to explain to you how I see or how I think about myself, and then you can break down, if you can, probably break down to me why I may quote unquote believe that about myself, or why I am a certain way, if you can. Is that okay?
Absolutely. Yes.
Excellent. So the way I always introduce myself to people, I always like saying, my name is Sadiq Bello. I am a DJ and a music producer. I was born in Nigeria, and then I came to London with my family, and I've been here ever since. Now, I have an interest in almost everything in the world. So I always think of learning different languages and traveling and meeting different people and experiencing different cultures. And I spend a lot of time actually watching YouTube more than I do like something like Netflix, because I want to see what real people are doing in the world. But then
So
also
what are you watching on YouTube though? Because
it's
YouTube, there's a lot of
like
stuff in there.
yeah, so it's mainly to do with people that are like building things and just alternative ways of living. So people that
Mm,
may not necessarily be living, the 9 to 5 or going to a job and paying a tax or a salary or anything. It's people that are like living in
mm.
the wilderness.
That's interesting.
People
Okay.
Yeah, or people who build things with like their hands, and they do all that kind of stuff, and like build a house and build a boat, and all of these things, right? So everything that's completely separate from just the way I live my life, or the life that I would like to live, to see if there were other options out there. That's a lot of the stuff that I focus on. But what I've also realized about myself is that when I'm watching if I'm watching like a movie or reading a book, it's normally always by autobiographical. So it's about someone who did something great. It's based on like a fact or real life story.
Mm-hmm.
Or even fiction, it's always something that, if it's fiction, then it's something that is like magical and like is like you couldn't even picture it happening until it happened, right? So I almost live, or I try to live and put myself mentally in another dimension or another universe. I don't know. I never like actually live in the present moment. But I like to think similar to other people, in the sense that I'm always sort of anxious, or I used to be very anxious about my future, where I would concern
Mm-hmm.
myself with, where am I going to end up? Am I on the right path? Am I going towards the right thing? But recently, as I've gotten older in time, I've learned to sort of let go of some of those habits and just accept things as they are, and do things based on what is in front of me. And so, yeah, being an Aquarius, I'm also the youngest of the family. I have 3 older siblings. And so sometimes I think I don't necessarily look or seek forward attention, but I naturally attract it. And I'm always sort of in the middle, or like the center of the party, being the loudest. But I try to shy away from that now. Now I'm really trying to be like, I protect my space and don't go out so much socially. And I spend a lot of time more researching about myself, more than I do, being out with people and like for dinner or for drinks or anything like that. And so, yeah, that's the breakdown of how I like to think of myself. But now, you as an astrologer, based on the fact that I said all of those things, and the fact that you've met me, what if I was saying to you, is there anything that stood out to you about my personality or my persona, or things you might see on Instagram? How do you depict me? I would be interested to know that.
Okay, so I was actually listening very intently about some of the things you say, because it's really funny, but people don't realize, but when they talk about themselves, they use what I call them almost some mottos or some keywords that
Yeah.
straight off point them to a certain sign compared to another.
Okay.
And obviously, I don't have your chart in front of me, so um, uh, it's just a bit of a guess about your rising sign, unless you know it. I remember you said to me that you have a moon in Gemini, which
Yeah.
obviously I will explain to you. But
Yeah.
let's
Thank
start
you for
with.
remembering that, by the way. That means a lot to me that you remembered that.
Oh, I have a good memory. It's
Yeah.
one of those things with me. I'm almost like a freak. Like I remember a lot of things. Actually, I remember a lot of people because of their sign. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember. Oh yeah, that Leo. Oh yeah, that Scorpio. I make that connection. Yeah. So initially, I can say about Aquarius. Aquarius is probably one of my favorite signs.
Okay.
It's very innovative. It's very future oriented. Is all about innovations. It's all about technology, and is considered the genius among the community because they have a way of thinking that is so different from the other signs, because they are lateral thinkers. They think out of the box. They actually work very well under pressure because they are cool and collected. They come up with like the last minute, the 11th hour solution that nobody would have thought about it.
With the
So
flow. Yeah.
it's just like really handy to have an Aquarius in any team, in any working environment. A lot of
Right.
people who are Aquarius end up working in tech, like IT, or developing apps, being coders. They are very attracted to that kind of world. And in
Right.
fact, a lot of people are very interested in also buying tech, like gadgets and stuff. You can ask any Aquarius, they will direct you to the right. If you're looking for something tech related, ask an Aquarius. They know, they know everything.
Yeah.
Um, I love the fact about Aquarius that they are also people who are friends with everyone. Friendship is the highest value for Aquarius.
Right.
It's the most important thing, even above love, which I know sounds like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
but it is.
Yeah.
It is. They just are very attracted to people who are unique. They're very different from like non-conformist, because they are non-conformist.
Yeah.
Aquarius is just like a bit of a rebel within the system, right?
The system.
It's a bit of a rule breaker, but
Right.
sometimes it's good to have people like that, because it and doesn't necessarily mean that the way things have always been done, the old-fashioned way, are
Yeah.
always good.
Yeah.
Aquarius are able to see where the weak links are in a system and say, no, actually, we can do this better. We can
Yeah.
improve things. We just need to break the system for a minute, but yeah, I can come up with something better. And this is what Aquarius is like. And obviously is yeah, I think is a wonderful quality. It's a very clever sign.
Mm.
They don't love controversy. They don't love having quarrels and stuff. They shy away from that kind of stuff. It's
Yeah.
not it's not their bag. And the other thing I love about Aquarius is a very humanitarian sign. A lot of them are involved in charities, or they give a lot to charities. They are very concerned about the well-being of their community or the world. They always try and do good stuff for the community, because the symbology of Aquarius is the water bearer, and
Yeah.
is giving water to the people who are around him. So like it's just literally what it's trying to do is trying to benefit the community. So that is really nice. The things you said some of the things that when I was saying about keywords, you said something about cultures, knowing to how people work and live in other
Yeah.
cultures. That seems to me like that is a bit of a trigger to me, because I'm saying, oh, okay, that sounds very much like a Sagittarius. So
Right.
uh, you can confirm or deny, because obviously, as I said, I don't have your chart in front of me, and I hope you remember your rising sign.
Right. One of my closest friends growing up was actually in the Sagittarius. So it's funny that you mentioned that sign. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because Sagittarius is a very well traveled sign. It loves about knowing about other cultures. It travels a lot, and if he cannot travel, he tries to learn about other cultures. So he studies even philosophy, religions from other countries. Is a very attracted to um, like alternative
What is?
religion. Doesn't need to be a religion, even something spiritual, right?
Yeah.
So, and Sagittarius is a sign that has also is also a very clever sign. It acquires so much knowledge that is so good at also explaining it to other people. That's why a lot of Sagittarius end up being teachers,
Yeah.
because they
Oh,
they learn so much about the world. They're so curious about the world that then they actually are able to give that
pass the message.
information to people.
That is so insane that you would say that, because the same friend of mine who's an Aquarius is also a teacher. They really
There you
actually,
go.
and like, you had no way of knowing that. Like, there's no way possible. And like, you know what I mean? So,
I
now,
know. It's just
yeah,
like sometimes they're attracted to certain professions,
yeah.
and
The fact that
others. Yeah, it's
I'm
just
Aquarius.
the way it all stems from their driving factors that I was telling you earlier.
Yes,
What makes you attracted to a certain thing? What motivates you to go in a certain direction rather than another? I mean, if I was to talk about, say, a cancer, they love the house. They're nesting in the house. So it's all about um, building their own castle. A lot of them become interior designers.
yeah,
A lot of them are so patriotic, they become politicians. I
yeah.
mean, it's like different motivation brings you to different
To different
professions.
professions. Yeah. And I also have another friend who's a Cancer, and I can honestly say that he's like that. He's very much like, he likes what he likes. Like, every now and again he'll experiment with different things, but when he needs to be alone or be in his space, he just needs to be in his space, and he
That's right.
likes himself a lot.
Yeah, they don't go out a lot. They prefer staying at home. Their entertainment is done at home.
Yeah. Easy
That's
living.
their main kingdom. Yeah.
That's nice. That's okay. So, I mean, basically everything that you are saying to me resonates with things that I think about, or like even the people in my life and stuff like that. So I now understand why you were saying at the beginning that you like talking to, for instance, skeptics, because I imagine you blow
Yeah.
the when you say this thing and they're like, "Oh my God, she was actually right."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't explained about your moon in Gemini, but I can quickly tell you,
Yes, of course.
having the moon in Gemini, it's again another um, air sign. So obviously air signs are connected with intellectual curiosity,
Mm,
and Gemini is very curious and they love variety. In fact, so much so they are a bit in a way like a child. They have a short attention span. They always like they're interested in something, and then I see another thing, let me go
yeah,
and
they
find
follow
out
the
about that
shiny
other
thing.
thing. They probably have like 3 or 4 plates spinning at any one time. They just like
Yeah,
want to know about this and that, and then once their interest wanes, they move on to something else. So
yeah,
they love variety and they're very intellectually curious. So yeah, that is another thing I can tell you. And obviously, Gemini lives and thrives on communication. So the fact that you ended up doing radio
yeah,
is not by accident at all. Both the Aquarius bit and the Gemini bit tallies very well with communication, because Gemini is all about communication, broadcasting, writing. That is their daily bread.
Okay, that's good to hear. It's actually funny that you're mentioning this, because I want to get into a conversation that I had with a friend of mine actually yesterday, which stems from other conversations that I've had with many people, and it sort of dives or bleeds into my dislikes, and I want to understand why I dislike
Mm.
certain things, like whether it's things that people say or things that people do or perceptions that people may have of me. But what I'm going to do now, again, I'm going to play a little bit more music, and then we'll come back and have that conversation. And then after that, the next music break we'll have, I'll dive into some of the songs that you chose, and we'll
Wonderful.
talk about those songs as well. Yeah,
Okay.
excellent. Okay, guys, we'll be back in just going to say something.
No, I was saying thank you.
Oh, okay. All right, guys, we'll be back shortly. I'm going to play a bit, some music, and then we'll come back and carry on the conversation. Okay, and now we are back. We're just taking a short break. For those of you who are just locking in, of course, this is Everyday People with Sadiq Bello. I'm over here speaking to the wonderful Stella, who was telling me all of the amazing things about astrology. Like, I thought I knew enough about astrology, but now my mind is being blown even more.
Really?
I'm really actually enjoying this conversation. This is probably one of the best episodes I've ever had on the show.
Oh gosh.
So,
Okay, I'm
yeah.
very
And
flattered.
I genuinely just love having you as a guest. And to be honest, I felt this from our first conversation. This is why I asked you to be on. I was like, people need to hear this. Other people need to witness what I'm witnessing right now. So thank you for giving.
Well, they can still listen to my show on a monthly basis. I do have a slot with Voices Radio too. So yeah.
Yes, of course. In fact, we should plug that because, yeah, there might be more information that they want to hear, which they might not be able to get on this podcast, but they can hear from your show. So let's talk about your show on Voices Radio. What day is it on? What time of the month is it on?
Uh, it's the third Monday of every month. The next show, it will be April 15 and then 20th of May, just to
Yeah,
give you a few dates.
excellent.
So yeah, normally in there I talk about what is the general trend that is obviously going to affect each sign that is most of interest. Recently I spoke about Pluto having moved into Aquarius. Be ready, you are an Aquarius, you're going to go through an amazing 20 years of very interesting stuff, because a lot of Aquarius will come to prominence. You will see in worldwide news they will come to prominence in their profession,
Yeah.
and there will be a lot of leading figures who are Aquarius or Aquarian-like.
Okay.
And yeah, I expect the beginning of a very technologically driven era,
Yeah.
also an era where the government will have less of a say, the people will have more of a say, because as I said to you, Aquarius is linked to communities, to people. So
Yeah.
effectively Pluto having passed from Capricorn, which is the sign of authorities, government, banks, monarchy, and all of that. Pluto is about big power, big money. It seems almost as being like the mantle has been passed to actually to the people, so the people will have much more of a say in how things are done. So I'm very hopeful, especially in consideration of the fact of the wars that are going on at the moment. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's all it bodes very well. And also I every month I also give the horoscope for each sign.
Mm-hmm.
We have some very interesting trends going on at the moment. Ever since the year began, we've been having planets clustered in each sign, like following the zodiac. And it's a very unusual composition for natal charts like that, because it means that at the moment the way it works in our life is that every month we get our attention directed to just one singular topic, one singular aspect of our life that
Yeah.
takes most of our energy and our time. Normally it wouldn't be like that. Normally the energies are spread all around, so you may have some stuff going on at work, some stuff going on, maybe somebody's buying a house, somebody is beginning a relationship, but it seems like we're moving with, like, every month there's one thing only. I've seen that trend coming up, and unfortunately it's finishing in June. So we'll
Yeah.
have to grin and bear it, because it seems like people become a bit myopic when there is this kind of thing, this singular focus, this tunnel vision on just one thing. So after that, probably the energy will spread out a bit more and it will be good. But the other thing that obviously is to note, and is going to be one of the things that we'll talk about in my next show, is the eclipses. The eclipses are important because it's like a new moon or a full moon on steroids. Like it's 100 times stronger, and we feel their effects for weeks and months. So just to give you an indication, for example, of what I'm talking about, the conflict between Israel and Hamas started exactly 7 days before an eclipse in Libra. Libra and Aries are considered in astrology the violent axis. So stuff when wars, murders, and stuff like that happen, is they are happening in one of those two signs, Aries or Libra. And unfortunately, that means that this type of cycle started then. But the good thing is that we have this round of eclipses which are going to close the cycle. We have to just hang in here for just this year. The last eclipse will be on March 2025 in Aries. But I hope that before 2025, 2025, I think 2024, I think we're gonna finish with this conflict. So yeah.
Okay, that's you've unraveled a lot of information there. So like, I mean, I know certainly I will be looking forward to listening to that. And so with your guests, so that will be on the 15th of April, and then the 20th of May. We've got Stella on Voices Radio, so keep an eye out on that. Right now, so something that you touched on actually about, I like the word that you used when you used myopic, because that's a great segment into what I was about to talk about in regards to my dislikes, right? Or things that I don't like being associated with. So myopic is actually one of them. So for instance, I always, when I have conversations with people, I hate being seen as someone who may be myopic or violent or like a control. And another word that sticks out to me is control freak. So I hate being seen as one who likes to control everything. But I've recently come to the realization that
you are a control freak.
I sort of do control everything around my life, only because that's what keeps me most of the time, like you said, being Aquarius or being cool, calm, and collected, or all of these things. It's because I find that when I am in control of all the situations around my life, then I feel like I have less chance of running into an awkward encounter or danger or anything like that. But I was hoping you could break down to me, is there a particular reason why I don't like to be seen? I also don't like telling people what to do. I hate authority, by the way. So
that's an Aquarian thing, to hate authority.
Exactly. So because I mainly hate being told what to do, I also dislike being seen as someone who likes telling other people what to do, because I believe that they should be just as free as I am. Like, the freedom is for everybody. Is there a way to break down why I may have a problem with these sort of connotations, or why I don't like being associated with them at all?
Well, first of all, Aquarius is not about controlling things. So obviously it's and they don't like authority. So that tallies very much with the thing. About the control freak situation, I would examine it a little bit more if I were you, because if you hate it that much, and you're concerned with it, there might be something more deeper in that explain that situation. But it's important that people are able to express themselves. I don't know, the control thing is something that can be curbed by just saying, would you put yourself in that person's shoe? Would you want to be told that? And to
Yeah.
be honest with you, you have to realize the control thing in its essence. One has to realize you can't control everything. You can't control any. In fact, you can control very little in your life. If
Right.
you, and I'm sorry to like bang on about this thing, but
No,
uh,
I like to hear
if
this.
you if you think about it, I mean, if I was, say, in Russia or Ukraine, do you
Yeah.
think I have any control about how this conflict has happened or why it started? No control whatsoever. So what are you going to do in that situation? So you have to also be able to release that thing and say, yeah, you know what? I just can't control everything. And
Everything.
sometimes it's good to be out of control because that's when your survival skills and survival instincts kick in. So I think it's always good to put yourself, I don't want to say in a situation at risk constantly, but to put
Mm.
yourself in a situation where you are uncomfortable, because then you find out about things about yourself that
Yeah.
you wouldn't have known, you wouldn't have experienced. I found myself in situations where okay, yeah, probably I am a bit of a, I don't want to say risk taker, but I am somebody that
Right.
is willing to put myself on the line if there's something that I believe or is something that I want to do.
Yeah.
And I actually found out things about myself because of that, because I found myself in certain situation where I actually had no control over what was happening. And then I found out wonderful things about myself. I remember one time I was really surprised about myself. I said, you know what? You're actually really resourceful. I didn't know that I was a resourceful person. But it's
Yeah.
just like sometimes you might get really surprised with yourself, you know.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's funny you mentioned that because recently, up until I'd say maybe a month ago, I was in situations where I was completely out of control and I was trying to fix everything. And it was actually my wife that mentioned this to me. That well, my fiance, wife to be, she mentioned this.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And she mentioned that, and the thing that's funny is she's an Aquarius as well, right? And
Hmm.
the thing that I started to realize as I was losing control and trying to fix everything is for the first time I could see myself in the mirror, in the sense that the advice that she was giving to me about, look, you can't control everything, just accept it for what it is and do what your best and be resourceful and all of these things. That's normally the advice that I give other people when other people were facing like a tantrum or having a hard time in life.
Hmm.
I couldn't understand that I was actually a victim of my own, what's it called? Almost of my own doing until she
Yeah.
had given me that advice. And I was like, oh, I'm now starting to put myself in other people's shoes and realizing why other people may stress about these sort of situations simply because every time I was in control, I wasn't stressing. And then the first time that I was out of control in my life, then I started to stress and then I could understand where other people were coming from. So that's what I meant by saying recently, I've started to accept that I do have to let go and occasionally just not that, you know, I, like you said, I can't control everything. I really cannot. And so that's why I wanted to hear your take on it. So that's very good that you mentioned that, because it's now making me think, even after having this conversation, about how do I actually do that? Like, how do I just let go and just accept things as they are? It's a very difficult transition to make, you know. Yeah.
Um, I'm sure is going to be difficult, perhaps at the beginning, but
Mm,
sometimes just like doing small steps and doing just a little thing that you wouldn't usually do, and it's something that's, oh no, that's a big no, just to see what happens. I mean,
yeah.
so there are people. It's not people like you and me, I'm sure, but there are people, for example, who are very afraid to ask even the simplest questions to people on the street. I don't know. Do you know where the street is? Can you help me out? Or I don't know. Do you have a lighter or a cigarette?
Yeah, they have
Some
issues.
people don't even dare asking stuff like this, and
Yeah,
if they put themselves out because they're afraid of like rejection, or that people might, I don't know, behave in a certain way. But in reality, you have to trust things. And I mean, one thing I want to remark here
yeah,
is about the losing control situation.
yeah,
We have to be aware of the fact that being in control doesn't mean that you're always necessarily happy about the things that you have in your life.
yeah. It's like
So
before.
sometimes there are some cycles that are meant to end. Sometimes you are meant to go through some pain, because only until you go through pain then you appreciate the goodness once you go through the up cycle, once you go through the good stuff. Because if you haven't suffered before, you would take good things for granted. So
Yeah,
that is also another thing that one needs to understand, why it has to release control.
that makes a lot of sense. I guess of everything that I've taken from this conversation, two things stand out to me, and that is that you have to allow yourself to lose control, in the hopes that you would put yourself in sync with the universe and just trust that it will work out. Like it will, this.
Yeah, you will always end up in a better place. You will become a much stronger person, and you will actually see sides of yourself that you didn't know existed. So you just have to just release and say, okay, whatever it may be, may be. If there's some things that you can put in your favor, or just like I don't want to say manipulate events so that
Yeah,
you end up on a
will yourself.
better
Yeah,
side. By all
yeah,
means, one can do only the things that is in control of. But apart from that, I mean, just let it be. Let it be and see what comes out. And sometimes you might be surprised about the results. You
yeah,
just sometimes it's also about trusting people. I know it seems a strange notion sometimes when we talk about people, because people might be guarded, and they might think that because people think differently from us,
yeah.
they might not
Yeah,
understand us, or they might not see what we are trying to do. But sometimes you get surprised. The people are actually are very good. So yeah.
we have more similarities than we think. More similarities.
Yeah, yeah.
That's beautiful. That's such a beautiful way to look at life. I really have enjoyed like this conversation. Like it's not over yet, but there's so many things I'm learning just from speaking to you. And I almost, this is like, it's almost like therapy for me. I'm like, I needed to have this conversation. I need, what I mean? I needed to speak to you to get this through. And I hope, our listeners also feel the same wherever they're listening back on this, whether it's through Voices or Amazon or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Like they I hope they feel the same, because the vibes that you were giving me are definitely. I feel like a weight is being lifted off my shoulder as I accept you.
Oh, that's
Your
so
problem.
good.
That's
That's
really
so
cool.
good. I'm so happy about it. This is the reason why I wanted to speak with you and have a chat about things even outside astrology, because
Yeah,
um, I mean, we are not all one-dimensional, right? So we
mm,
have other things to say. We have other things that can help other people. And this is, by the way, one of the reasons why I got into astrology, to help other people, because I may see things that they don't see
yeah,
people themselves, because once you're in a situation, you can't be objective, right? So
yeah,
if you have somebody else telling you, oh, okay, you have this pattern, try to curb it. Like, for example, I think when I speak to a Virgo, for example, most often than not, one of the things that I say to them is just like, okay, I know you are obsessed with precision and being perfect all the time, but
Yeah.
I mean, pick your battles. If you want to fight with people at where something is positioned on a shelf on a fridge, which is 5 centimeters away from where it should be, perhaps it's not a worthy fight, right?
That's the battle.
And they tend to agree with me. I know a Virgo that actually, because of this obsessed with precision, they actually nailed their rug to their lounge to because
That's
like that they don't have to move the rug and they can hoover it easily. I mean,
yeah.
this is a Virgo thing.
I understand this now.
Talking
Cool.
about control.
Yeah.
Virgos are king of control. They
Yeah.
have to have everything in control. So yeah, this is one of the things, for example, that can be limiting to somebody, right? So if you're telling something like this, and they are in it, they don't realize
They
it.
don't realize.
Perhaps
Yeah.
it's less energy wasted in that direction, right?
Yeah. What month is Virgo? That's like July, right?
September. Yeah,
September.
well, let me give you the breakdown. Every time remembering the month, because obviously one thinks the dates with science are actually those and never change, but in reality they change because of the way the sun moves and the calendar.
Yeah.
So let me give you the breakdown. So is from the 23rd of August to September 22nd in general. But yeah, the bookends are considered cusps. So sometimes they may fall like in Leo, or they may fall in the following sign. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
those are those
Those-
are the months.
Okay. But I'm just trying to figure out how many Virgos I have in my life. Because sometimes, like, going back to the control thing, so sometimes I'm like that where I have to pick my battle, where like, because I really like and I really love like the things that I love, and then I also really dislike the things that I really dislike, and so I do have to sometimes stop myself and, like you said, pick my battles to be like, okay, if it's 5 centimeters away, is that really worth the fight? Maybe that person didn't even mean to offend me. Maybe they didn't do it on purpose. Maybe they weren't even aware. Like, mistakes happen. So
Yeah,
sometimes,
most likely they're not aware.
yeah,
Nine times out of 10, they're not aware.
not aware of what they're saying.
Hmm.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
So I now, that's another gem that I've taken away from this conversation, is before I react to something based on how I see it or think it, I have to also think about maybe that other person didn't see it, because it's all miscommunication, right? It comes from language. Maybe that other person didn't see like what I saw or hear it the way I heard it, and so
Yeah,
they,
we're all different. We are all. I mean, you have to start with the basic principle that nobody thinks like you. Like,
yeah,
obviously, on there are common grounds on things, obviously, but there
yeah,
are other things that you think that are completely different from other people. So you don't have a perfect carbon copy of your thoughts in another person, right?
yeah.
So if you think about that, yeah, then you see,
Then
okay,
yeah,
so that person is doing that. This is what astrology has helped me to realize, the fact that, you know what, I am this way, but I have to accept what the other person say or thinks because of the fact that they don't think like me. So I need to come out with a way of making my point and making the person understand and say, okay, I know that you're thinking this, I'm thinking this because, and then we can start a conversation.
that's mad. You know what? My fiance would love this conversation. Like, I'm gonna make her listen back to this, because every single thing that you were saying is now actually making me understand like why I actually, like, you know, started liking her or fell in love with her, because we started off as friends. It was actually a friendship that grew into,
Classic
yeah,
Aquarius. You,
yeah,
you
yeah,
start from
grew
friendship.
into it.
Yeah.
But it's
Your
because
love relationships start from friendships.
yeah, I was literally listening to all of the things that she was saying and all the advice that she was giving me and things, and then I saw the world through her eyes, and I was like, oh
Mm.
God, I want to see the world. I want to be in this forever. I want to like because all the things that I thought about myself, I see that in her, and then it makes me want to be like better, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
I
Oh
am,
yeah.
because I'm like, oh, I thought I was very, you know, like open-minded and very chilled and relaxed and all of these things. Then I met her and I was like, oh my God, you are actually what I thought I was, and now I want to be like you. Like, you know what I mean?
Ah.
And that's what made us I guess work well. And then she also says that to me. So she'll say things about like she's never come across someone like me and blah 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 blah. But I'm always saying to her, I'm like, no, you don't see what I like.
What I see.
Yeah, she doesn't see what I see in her. I'm like, you like, while she's trying to be, she thinks that she's making herself better by trying to be like me. And I'm like, no, 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 you don't understand. Everything that I'm doing is just a reflection of you. Like, I'm just trying to mimic you. Of course, every now and I never admit that like out openly to her. Every now and again, I'm like, listen, look, I'm great or whatnot, like, you know, because we're human beings. But the truth of the matter is, yeah, I really sit there and sometimes I have to thank, you know, the stars or the universe and God and all of these things. And I'm like, I don't know how I ended up in the position to be with her, but I'm like, that I
It's
needed.
nice to be grateful. It's
Yeah,
something that we should always do. Be grateful about the things that we have. But I
yeah,
mean, with your girlfriend slash fiance slash future wife, it
yeah,
could be that she says the things she says because there are probably some things that she see in her that are lacking, and
yeah,
that's why she needs a person like you, and she wants to do some things like you because
yeah,
probably yeah, everybody has their own I don't
yeah,
know, they lack, they may lack something in some areas,
yeah,
and they may be strong in other areas.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a question of complementing each other, right?
Totally, yeah, makes full sense. Okay, so now we're going to get into, for like the last 20 minutes or so, we're going to get into the songs that you sent me, which
All right,
I
okay, I'll
listened to
have to
all
be
of.
quick then. All right.
Yeah, that's right. So I listened to all of them. Um,
Ooh,
what I'd
which
like,
one did you like?
so
What?
of all of them, I'd have to say my favorite one was actually the final one, which was I hope I say this correctly. It was Tiziano Ferro. Was
Oh,
uh, Missono.
oh, what a surprise!
Yeah,
You're a
I really love that
romantic.
song. Even though, so because it was in Italian, I didn't understand what was being said, but just
Mhm.
the way that it was saying it, the tones, the chords,
Uh,
strings,
the
I was like,
guy, the guy
yeah, I
is
was like, this is
amazing.
beautiful music. I
Yeah.
could like clean my house to this. I could really tidy up and just have it in the
Mhm.
background. But before we get to that, I'll go through all of the other songs.
Okay.
Way I want to do it is I want to talk about why you may have chose this particular song, and then we'll
So,
play the song, and then I'll give you my feelings of what I felt after listening to the song. Is
all
that
right.
all right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So the first song that we're going to play is Shanmina, I'm a Pop.
Chanmina.
Shanmina, I'm a Pop.
Chan.
Oh, Chan. So yeah, Chanmina, I'm a Pop. And do you want to give us just a little, like a sentence on why you chose this particular song?
Well, a sentence is hard, as you can see, for what I started to say before about myself.
Of
I
course.
studied foreign languages, and I have a great and big passion for Japan because it was one of the languages that I studied. I love Asian languages. I studied Korean as well recently, but Japanese was my first love. Chanmina is a bit of a strange animal. She's a rapper and a singer. She was born in Korea, but she mostly sings and raps in Japanese. In fact, this song is in Japanese.
Mhm.
The thing that grabbed my attention is the sample that she used for this song, which is taken from the movie Halloween, which is then started the series on the Friday the 13th movie. So you probably remember the theme, right?
Yeah,
Very scary movie. Still scares me, by the way.
of course.
And yeah, I picked it because it was so alternative, so innovative, the way it was done. And she's one of my favorite artists, Japanese artists.
Perfect, excellent. Okay, so guys and girls, this is Chanmi and non-binaries. This is Chanmina. I'm a Pop. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, and we are back. So, that was Chanmina. I'm a Pop. For those of you still locked in, this is Everyday People. My name is Sadiq Bello, and I'm interviewing the wonderful Stella, who's an astrologer. And that was one of the songs that we selected. Stella, I'll give you my opinion on that song, obviously.
All right.
So the first thing was when I was listening to it, obviously I recognized like the beat and the tempo and the melodies. I was thinking, oh, it's a pop song, cool. And then I was expecting English, so it blew my mind when it wasn't English and it came up in Chinese, and I was like, oh, this is like what I liked and what I enjoyed about listening to it was that I thought of it as almost like a typical pop song that you may hear from like Christina Aguilera or Britney Spears or Madonna or that kind of thing. But it's just something about it being spoken in Japanese. I also resonated with that because I'm the same as you. I love Japanese culture. In fact, I love all Southeast Asian culture. I hope to move there one day, like, you know, to either Korea or Japan or like wherever.
Yeah, I would like to travel there too. Yeah, it's that's the kind of music I play in my show. I love international music, so I always give space to artists who are outside in the world who may not sing songs in English. I mean, I do play songs in English as well, but it's just really nice to see what is the landscape now that we are more in a globalized world. There are a lot of there's like the Korean wave, as you know, the K wave. So there's a lot more people listening more and more to artists from other parts of the world. And I promise you, from what you're gonna see from my selection, there are some artists that really merit to be listened to.
Yeah, no, of course. And speaking of which, we'll get into the next song because
all of
them,
one.
all of them were kind of like this. As I was listening to them, I was like, whoa, this is a really cool, like it opened my ears, like, you know, to like a different dimension of music. And so the next song that we're going to play is Imogen Heap, and the song is The Moment I Said It, right?
Yes.
Okay, is there a particular reason as to why you chose the song? Is it something you play frequently? Or
Well, actually, yeah, it's still part of my playlist, and I do play it sometimes. What I love about Imogen Heap and these songs especially is the fact that. Again, another innovative artist, but it's just this song. This song, I found it is a party for your ears. Like you put your headphones on, the things she does with her vocals and the instruments, it's just like a rhythm that is calming, therapeutic. Almost it feels like you're feeling raindrops when she speaks, so you hear some of the sounds, and creates such a vibe that it's just something that is worth listening to because it's just too amazing.
excellent. We're now going to play Imogen Heap, The Moment I Said It. Hope you guys enjoy. Okay, and we are back. So for those of you locked in, that was Imogen Heap, The Moment I Said It. That one was really more relaxed and chilled. And I'm happy that just before we played it, you mentioned about the things that she does with her vocals, and it feels like raindrops, because that's how I felt when I was listening to it. It was almost something that I could sleep to, but not in the sense of like, oh, it's I'm bored, so I'm going to sleep. No, it was more of just calming and relaxing. Like if I've had a stressful day, I could put that on and have that in the background, and it will put me to sleep. So that's what I enjoyed about that particular song. And once again, that was Imogen Heap, and it's The Moment I Said It. It was actually, I was able to find this one on Apple Music. So I'm assuming it's available on all streaming platforms. Is that correct?
Oh yeah. She's a renowned artist. So yeah, you can easily find it.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I'm gonna look into more of that stuff, and just have it. I'll probably build a playlist of songs that I could just.
Yeah, I mean that
Right.
album from what that song comes from is really worth listening to. There are a lot of songs. One of them actually was famous because it was played in the final episode of the OC, an American series, and
Yeah.
it gained a lot of popularity because of that. So as soon as you hear it, you're gonna say, "Ah, I know this song." So
It's-
yeah.
yeah. Excellent. So that was Imogen Heap. Right. So we're gonna get into the next one now.
Mm.
And that is this one. A lot of people should know, I'm assuming, because it's a big. I mean, it stings like a massive musician.
Yeah.
And it was I'd never actually heard this song until you sent it to me, which I was surprised about because I thought I knew quite a lot of Sting songs, but I didn't. And it's called The Russians.
It's
And
called Russians. Yeah.
the Russians, yeah. And there's a particular line that actually sticks out to me or resonates with me in this song.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk
Let's hear it.
so yeah, and so yeah, this is Sting, The Russians, and in fact, before we play it again, I will ask you: was there any particular reason why you may have chose this song?
There is this song and the other two to follow are kind of connecting to a theme.
Yeah,
Lately, I've been finding myself listening, obviously, as you know, about the war in between Russia and
right.
Ukraine. And this song came to mind. I remember when I first listened to it, and you will listen to the words. I hope that people will listen to the words, and you will actually see that although the characters are different, the names of the people mentioned in this song are different,
Yeah,
the plot unfortunately remains the same. We are in a situation once again where history repeats itself. We're not learning from history, and we are again in a situation where we have kind of a similar situation with the Cold War back in the day,
yeah,
where Russia is threatening to the potential start of a third world war, Navalny being killed, having an oppressive regime, America seriously considering when they should start getting in, France even talking about sending soldiers. So it seems like every day you hear the news, there might be a potential escalation.
mm,
And it's really remarkable that despite the years, because I think this song is 30 years old, if I don't get wrong, it's
yeah.
still so relevant now, even now. And it's really incredible.
Of course, yeah, it's prominent. So here is Sting, Russians. We hope you enjoy it. Okay, so that was Sting, Russians, and you're still listening to Everyday People. Now, for me, that particular song, Stella, I was talking to you about the line that stood out when I listened to it. Generally, that the song from understanding the words and what was being talked about, it's quite a political song. But I looked at it with an undertone of spreading love or trying to spread love and understanding each other.
Mhm.
The line that stood out to me was when he says, if the Russians love their children too.
That's
And
right.
yeah, and the reason why I love that lyric is because the way I see politics is there's always two different parties, and it's normally a red party against a blue party, and the best way I explain it is that the reason why I try not to pay or focus too much into politics or choosing a side is because I think the sort of politicians we actually need is someone who is purple, and what I mean by that is someone who is saying, okay, let's listen to what the red is angry about and let's listen to what the blue is angry about and try to come up with the purple solution that fits everybody. And so when I think about the line, if the Russians love their children too, to me what that is saying is we shouldn't necessarily paint Ukraine as an enemy or paint Russia as an enemy, but try to understand what exactly is it that you were trying to do, or what is it that you were scared of that made you actually do this. So the reasons as to why people may go to war, like, is it because you feel like you're threatened, or that you're not in control, or like you want to be more powerful? And if so, let's say you're trying to be more powerful than America, like, why is it that you feel threatened by America and things like that? But I think by asking ourselves those kind of questions and seeing where our potential enemy or opposition may be coming from or thinking, only then we can hopefully unite the world and try to understand that, look, we're all just on this floating rock trying to get by. And there is actually no reason to, there was never a good reason to have war. And so for me, that's why that song stood out, because he's almost trying to understand where the Russians are coming from, or some state. I don't know how did you perceive the song?
Well, it's all about ideology, right? I mean, people need to be aware that when you try to impose your will on somebody else, it's never a good thing. And what I am really sorry is about the Russian and the Ukrainian people, because they have both not chosen this war. It's all down to the government, down to Putin in the case, that this situation has been created, which is really unpleasant, and is putting everybody at risk. For what? For an ideology, because Putin wants to recreate the imperialist Russian state, which obviously cannot be done, should not be done at the expense of so many people dying. And Sting is a Libra. Libra see everything in the key of love. Love is very important to them. So I think it's important that he says, I hope the Russians love their children too, because if they love their children, they're not going to take it to a level where there's no going back, right? So I hope that people like Putin listen to a kind of song like this, because it would make them rethink about some of their choices. So I don't blame neither the Russian people nor the Ukrainian people. I feel for both people. I mean, the kind of oppression that Russian people are going through right now is not pleasant either. I mean, how many people they've arrested when Navalny died, and people turn up in the squares to put flowers, just simply to put flowers down. I mean, this is impossible. This is incredible. We are still at this age, in this day and age, in a situation like this. It shouldn't be like this. Are we modern people, or are we still back in the caves like primitives? I mean, this is not. It's not acceptable behavior. It's not acceptable to have something going on like this.
Of course. And you see, one of the worst things about wars that I naturally hate also is that what we tend to forget, like you said, and if the Russians love their children too, they should understand that there's killing and suffering on both sides. And so because of this ideology, it's not necessarily the Russians that are necessarily quote unquote bad, but it's specifically Putin and Putin's regime.
Yeah, it's all the government that is pushing this agenda of wanting to conquer something that they had in the past, and to show NATO nations that they are a force to be reckoned with. But we don't need the show of strength like that. A lot of people are dying because of this decision.
Innocent people who don't have the control of their fate. It would be like now, for instance, if Great Britain decided to go to war, and I just happen to be living in Great Britain, like, why should I die just because Rishi Sunak or Boris Johnson wants to do something? Like, it's
exactly.
I mean, all of these political powers. And so, for those of you who listened, I hope you took that message on, and just think a little bit different about blaming a whole nation for one person's action, when really It's just something that to massage their ego, because there is really never a need for war, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, we will move on to the next song, of course, which is by Big Baby Tape, and the song is Konnichiwa, which of course is Japanese.
You can see a theme here, right?
A theme here, yeah. I'm beginning to see a theme. What I loved about this song, by the way, is the beat. I think the beat was amazing.
Ah,
Like it
yeah.
literally got the get go from the first like 3 seconds. I was like, this is an amazing song. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was there a reason why you chose it, or did you just feel like?
Yes, I decided to choose a Russian song just to tell you, just to show you. I mean, let's not blame the people. There are artists like Big Baby Tape. They make wonderful music, and they cannot be blamed simply because they're Russian and this stuff is going on. They
Yeah.
create a wonderful piece of art. The song happened to be called Konishiwa, so obviously grabbed my attention because obviously of my interest in Japanese. I said, oh, okay, Russian, what kind of spin is gonna put? And then
Yeah.
I heard the song, and it just like I fell in love with the beat, with the way it was done. So I listened to the song regularly. It's a very cheerful song. It's very upbeat. So yeah, that's why I decided to put a representative of a nation that is currently at war, and just to show you that there is good music also coming from those nations.
Excellent. Right. So here comes Big Baby Tape, and it's Konnichiwa. We hope you enjoy listening. Okay, and we are back. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say. Like I said, it was a dope beat. I loved it from the beginning. It was to be honest with you, it was unexpected for me when I heard it in like another language. I thought it was going to be in English when I heard the beat, because I'm just like typically thinking of like hip hop and R&B, and like that kind of side of things. But yeah, again, I loved it for the same reason why I loved Chan Minna, because of the fact that it was in another language and I couldn't understand what was being said, but you kind of understand the connotation based on the beat. And for me, it just kind of made me want to like party and dance like a little bit.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, hip hop now is like everywhere. Every culture is used now that style, and you see the different spin that it gives just because it's spoken in another language.
yeah,
If the rhythm is right, you would appreciate it even though you don't understand the words. So I don't understand exactly what it's talking about, but yeah,
yeah, but
it makes me happy, you know.
yeah, me too. Excellent. Right, so we're gonna go into the next song is Kalush, and I hope I pronounced
Kalush. It's
Kalush.
a city. It's a city from in Ukraine.
Okay, that makes sense, because I was hoping that I was going to pronounce it correctly. Because in when I was looking at it in what's the word? Sorry, give me. When I was looking at it in on Apple Music, it was actually written in phonetics. It wasn't written in English. It was written in different alphabet, like in a different
Okay.
yeah, different alphabet. I think it was like the Ukrainian alphabet. I don't know, or Russian alphabet, or the word.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was like
Okay.
Nos. Is it the Vaj Noshi? Not Naschi? Nas.
The Varsh Noschi too.
Yeah,
Even I had to learn that because that is Ukrainian. So yeah, I wrote the Romanian. No, I do say not the Romanji because I was thinking Japanese. I
yeah,
wrote what is the way it's written in Western words, because
yeah,
otherwise it would be impossible for us to read. But
yeah,
translates with less, to be honest. And I
yeah,
thought it was interesting to use a song from Ukraine, and just it's called "Let's Be Honest." And I mean, obviously, when this was done, the war was not in place yet. This band was formed in 2019, and unfortunately, a few years later, the war broke out. So
Yeah.
I feel for these people, but it's another hip hop song, and I think it was only right to having played an artist from Russia. It was only right to play an artist from Ukraine, actually a band from Ukraine, just to give you a flavor of the kind of music they do there too.
Excellent. Cool. So this is Kalush, and it is Davad.
Давай Nashchitu.
Perfect. I'll let you say it. Cool. Okay, so we hope you enjoy listening. Okay, guys. We are now back. That was Kalush by Davad Nashchitu by
Yeah,
Kalush. Yeah,
perfect.
perfect.
You're fluent in
Perfect.
Ukrainian now.
There we go. Of course. Now, when I listened to that, it reminded me more of like almost like a movie soundtrack or like an old folk song, because and I didn't understand what it was saying, but obviously, like you said, it translates to "let's be honest." I'm assuming it's about being honest with ourselves based on, like a war that may be going on, or how we look at the world, and just human beings.
YouTube does give the translation in English for this song, so you can find the actual lyrics meaning
Okay.
if somebody is interested.
Excellent. Yes, I will. I myself will look at that after the show. But yeah, for our listeners, if you're interested, you can look at the translation. And that was by Kalush. So that's Kalush. And the song is Davad Nashchitu. And I think I spelled that as DAVAJ NASCHI STU. Is that correct? Yeah, something like that.
NACHISTOTU. Yeah.
And yeah, that's the one there. Perfect. Right. Now, the next song, evidently, these few songs, this is actually one of my favorite songs. Yeah, it really is. I love this song. And I can see it carries on with the theme, obviously, of self-reflection and looking at the world and how we do things. What I'll do is, in the interest of time, I'm going to play the next two songs actually back to back, one after the other.
All right.
Because they are both, I think of them both as similar artists. They're both female. They're both American. And so the first song that we're going to play, obviously, is by Erykah Badu, and it's On and On. And then straight after that, it's going to be Alicia Keys' Don't You Know. And something I wanted to actually say about the second song, the Alicia Keys song, Don't You Know, is that, so I love this album. I loved it from when it first came out. It's from the As I Am album, right? And I was so surprised that I'd never heard this song, because when I was growing up listening to that album, I thought I had listened to it back to back, because it's the one that came after she took a short break, after she did her Diary album, or songs in A minor. And so I thought I'd listened to every song on this album, but I hadn't. And so that's Erykah Badu, On and On, and then Alicia Keys, Don't You Know. Is there anything that you'd like to say about either of those songs before I play them?
Jesse, you say 3 songs
Two,
back to back.
Yeah, 2. So it's going to be Erykah Badu.
Okay. Erykah. I mean, this song, I listen to it frequently when I chill out, when I'm in a bathtub. I mean, I just love this lady, and I love this song. This song has a special meaning to me because it was the first song that I heard when I moved into this country. And it was so amazing, the fact that I think it's one of those songs that wherever you play it, it just brings an air of elegance and sophistication to a place. It's just so well made like that. Erykah is a very special person. She has 3 kids, one called 7, one
Mm-hmm.
called Puma and one called Mars. So very hippie-like
Of course.
names. The first kid was with Andre 3000 from Outcast.
Who's also one of my
Outcast,
favorites. Yeah.
sorry. Outcast Andre 3000 made this song, Miss Jackson, a very
Yeah.
famous song, which is about Erykah Badu's mother.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, I just love the fact that she is a very jazzy artist. She does her own kind of music, and she puts such an amazing vibe when she plays this song. That is amazing. Alicia Keys, Don't You Know the Sky is Blue? I just love this song because, apart from the fact that obviously Alicia Keys is a legend. I think everybody should listen to Alicia Keys music. I've selected this song especially because I find it extremely optimistic, extremely positive. When you're down, this is one of those songs you should listen to, because even the simple fact that most people, when they are sad or angry, they are in a cloud, in a dark under a dark cloud, they should remember, like Alicia Keys says, rightly so, the sky is blue. Remember, the sky is blue. That means something that is bad today, it doesn't mean necessarily it's going to continue to be bad forever. Sooner or later, the sky will open up and things will change. So I love this positive message. Alicia Keys does make a lot of music that is very positive, very optimistic, and I love that. I simply love that. This song was used for the score, the musical score of a movie she was in, with Queen Latifah as well, by the way. And probably that's why you don't know this song, but it was used as the last song in that movie. And
Oh,
yeah, I just love it.
perfect. Okay, so we'll play that too now. Just to add to what you're saying about Erykah Badu, because I really love her too. Aside from Andre 3000, she also dated Common, who's another dope MC, and Jay Electronica. So they're all like really great artists. And so, like you
Yes.
said, Erykah is
Three
really,
kids with three different artists.
yes,
She
she really
chose well.
being, yeah, you know. And so yeah, there's Erykah Badu On and On, followed by Alicia Keys, Don't You Know. Hope you enjoy listening. Okay, so that was Erykah Badu On and On, followed by Alicia Keys, Don't You Know, which was from her As I Am album. And I was saying to Stella, surprisingly, I never heard it. But you mentioned that it was the final song of a soundtrack of a movie. That
Yeah,
with
I think it's The Secret of the Bees. I think the movie is called.
okay, I'll look that up. Yeah, because I had no idea that that song even existed, but it's a really nice listen, of course. Now, in the interest of time, I'm going to play the next three together, one after the other.
Okay.
But what I'd like to talk about after we play them also is about the last one that I'll play, which I mentioned already, was Tiziano Ferro, because that was my favorite of all of the songs that you've chosen to play. So the first one was Zoom by an artist called Jessie, which is Jessi. And then the next one was, now correct me if I'm wrong, the artist is Low, just Low.
Yes, it's a band called Low.
Oh, it's a band. Okay, cool. So it's a band called
from Duluth, Minnesota. It's an indie rock band from America.
Oh, okay, perfect. And the name of the song was Congregation, which, of course, I am going to mention this again because it's only when I listened to all of them that I could see the running theme in the songs you've chosen. Because this was also a little bit. So when I think of congregation, again, I think of it as a very political word, but it was more of. When I was looking at some of the lyrics, it was more of almost having self-pity for the political parties or self-pity for the congregation, not knowing. Either not knowing what they're doing or they can't necessarily be free. So maybe someone got into political power trying to make change, to make the world a better place, and then realized that they couldn't actually make those changes because of being surrounded. It's like being the only honest person in a house full of thieves. Like, it's very hard to save the world per se. That's kind of the message I got from the song, and kind of having again, self-pity for somebody like Putin or whoever it might be, that if you understand where they're coming from, maybe they're not actually a bad person, but it's just about sitting down and having a conversation. So that's kind of what I got from the song. But yeah, that would be Jesse, Zoom, and then Lo, the Congregation, and then the last song is going to be by Tiziano Ferro, and I hope I said it correctly. I'm not going to say it properly. I know it mi sono.
You want me to say it?
Yes, please, you say it so that I don't butcher it.
I mean, you called Bello by surname, which is an Italian word to say beautiful. You should know more Italian, but fair enough. So Tiziano Ferro, the song is called Mi sono innamorato di te. I have fallen in love with you. That's the translation of the words. So shall I talk about in order the different songs, or shall I talk about the songs you love the most?
So please, so in terms of Jesse and Lo, talk about those songs almost in a caption, in a sentence or two, if you and then Tiziano Ferro to break down why you chose this song, and what it means to you, and what it may mean to our listeners and myself, and then I will play them.
Okay, the three songs I'm gonna play, they actually blow your mind once you hear what I have chosen, why I've chosen them. So Jesse Zoom, Jesse is actually American, yes, but is of Korean descent. So this artist, I selected it because it's a question of identity. She had problems with her identity because in America she wasn't appreciated as a singer, and she struggled to become a singer in Korea because she wasn't accepted, because it was no, you're American. So in the end, after the struggle, she did manage to break through the South Korean market, and she does in the song speaks both in Korean and American. And that song I selected because it's a question about self-identity, right? Some people who are coming from two different heritage, sometimes they're going through barriers that people may not think about. Low is actually a band that, if I am remembering correctly, they are Mormons. So already that gives you a key as to why it's called Congregation, maybe. I don't know. It's a band that is renowned for their minimalist kind of sounds genre. The song, I selected it because in this day and age, we're talking about so much about AI and what the implications are of it. And this song was used in a TV series called Deus. And I thought it was interesting to bring a song like this, because apart from the fact that this song comes in a point where there's probably the only vicious fight between two middle-aged men, and the director made it work. I don't know how, in a fight scene, to start with a slow song, with a slow tempo, and slowing down almost the rhythm of this fight, and it made it so memorable that a lot of people actually looked for searched the song after they saw that episode. And it was mostly to talk about the fact that AI is so prominent in our modern days, and there are worries around it, and there are people who are enthusiastic about it. So it was mostly about bringing up that theme to the table. Tiziano Ferro, Mi sono innamorato di te. I love this song because it's a cover, actually. Luigi Tenco was the original singer and tragically killed himself in his career some years ago. And this song was picked up by Tiziano Ferro, who is renowned for, is a very famous artist in Italy, and is renowned for the fact that the way he interprets the words is so emotional and is so very good at interpreting the words that it makes you feel the words in a very complete way. So the first time I heard his interpretation, I almost came to tears. And the first line of that song, it just grabs you every time you hear it. It says, I'm going to say it in English just for brevity. I fell in love because I had nothing to do in the daytime. And then I wanted somebody to speak in the nighttime. So it starts initially like essentially talking about the beginning of a relationship where you actually start almost in a casual way or a light way, thinking, oh yeah, I just need some company and stuff. And then you hear from the words that this love actually this initial encounter begins to become something more important. It becomes it gets obsessed. It gets then finally in love with the person that he has met, to a point where he doesn't know what to do in the daytime because he can only think about that person. In fact, he says that in the words. So I actually thought it was nice to see like the way you have an arch of a relationship from the beginning, where you think not much of a relationship that you start, and then it becomes something so big that you can't even think.
That's amazing, because I feel like, so even though, again, like I can't speak Italian and I didn't understand what was being said, but everything that you just explained are the emotions that I felt when I was listening to the song. And I think that's why it was my favorite of all of the ones that you chose. Because somehow in my subconscious, I could understand, I felt the emotion, like singing through the song.
Yeah. The way he interprets the words is just like, it's almost as if he's, I don't know, acting them. It's just like you feel you are, you have no other resort to feel what he's actually saying. It just brings always emotions, despite the language barriers, obviously. So yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful song. And so we will now play them. So the first song will be Zoom by Jesse. The second song will be Congregation by the band Low. And by the way, just to sort of, what's the word, like to sort of interact in between that, or to intercept that, I didn't know that Mormons made music. I had no idea.
I told you I was going to blow your mind.
Yeah, I had no idea. So I was like, what? They're Mormons? Okay, cool. So the second song after Zoom by Jesse will be Congregation by a band called Low. And then the very final song, of course, is by Tiziano Ferro. And the song is, I will let Stella say it, because she will say it in her beautiful Italian accent.
Mi sono innamorato di te.
Perfect. I hope you guys enjoy listening. Okay, and that's sort of it. I mean, honestly, it's I don't even know how to close because when you listen to it, like it does
blow your mind.
It does. It blows. It makes you have like tears come to your eyes. Even if it's just so passionate about the spoken and the way it's been sung, you know. But unfortunately, that is all we have time for. And so I would like to close out the show. It was very lovely honestly, Stella, I cannot explain to you in words how lovely this conversation was for me. I can only hope it was as lovely for you, and even to our listeners, I hope you enjoyed listening. But I knew when I first met you and I'd asked you to come onto my show and explain all of this, I knew that it was going to be a wealthy conversation, but I had no idea it was going to be quite as mind-opening as it was. So I thank you for giving me the time, obviously.
My pleasure.
Of course. And just to sign out, are there any of your socials or anything that you would like to plug for people who may want to find you and listen to you? Our listeners?
Well, I can say that I have a profile in Instagram called Stella_Astrologer, where people can actually see the different posts that I do. I actually, every month when I do my radio show, I give the playlist of the songs that I play, and then I always say, vote for your favorite song, because on the following episode I always play the people's selection, whichever song it may be. So please come through the Instagram channel. I also have a Facebook page called Stella Astrologer, no underscore, where I do the same. And obviously I'm on Voices Radio every third Monday of the month. As we said, my next episode will be on April the 15th, and then on the 20th of May.
Excellent. Very beautiful. Well, you heard it here, guys. This was Everyday People with Sadiq Bello, and that was my guest, Stella. And you can find her on Instagram, Stella_Astrologer, and on Facebook as Stella Astrologer, no underscore. Perfect. We hope you've enjoyed listening, and I'll catch you on the other side. See you next month.